In this video, we're going to take a Kyosho Mini Z monster and convert it from AM to FHSS. I recently purchased this monster off eBay. It's got a broken knuckle arm and a bad motor. And while we're here, we're going to replace the body, wheels, and tires. So here's the old AM ESC. We're going to be replacing that with a new FHSS model that's from the MR03 series. Part number MD211. Included is a servo motor, potentiometer, switch, and battery leads. And here's what an ESC from a Mini Z monster looks like. Very similar components. And while we're here, we're also going to install the GPM Racing Overland alloy shocks. So now we'll disassemble the chassis from the front and rear of the body, giving us access to the ESC. Now desolder the wires connecting the batteries and the switch to the ESC. Open up the new ESC and desolder the switch from it. Here I've soldered the switch into the new ESC. Now from the old ESC, I'm desoldering the connections to the servo motor. One thing to note about the servo potentiometer is that on the old one they only use 2 leads. On the new one you'll be using 3 leads. Desolder the potentiometer from the old ESC. Remove the battery leads from the new ESC. Solder the existing battery leads to the new ESC. Now desolder the servo potentiometer from the new ESC. Remove the leads from the potentiometer because they are much too short. Remember the order of the colors: black, yellow, and red. On the ESC, it's reversed: red, yellow, black. The new potentiometer wire should be about 92 millimeters. Make sure the wires are 26 gauge. To make your life easier, add flux and tin all of these wires. Solder the wires to the potentiometer: black, yellow, red. Now that the potentiometer has wires soldered, we can assemble it with the servo gears. Make sure the potentiometer wires are facing up towards the exposed gear. Now in order to fit 3 wires, we're going to need to expand this notch. Using a soldering iron, of course. Be careful. We'll need to do it on both sides. Make sure to use a well-ventilated area, a fume extractor, and never inhale plastic fumes. Now you have enough room in the servo gear housing to fit the black, yellow, and red wires. Add elbows to the red and yellow wires like this, so that they do not cross over. Desolder the existing wires from the servo motor. The new servo motor wires will need to be about 68 millimeters long. Strip and tin both ends of the wires. Solder the wires onto the new servo motor. Insert the motor, pinion first, into the servo gear housing. These components will be installed into the front suspension assembly. This is what the servo components look like once they're inserted. Ensure that there's adequate room for all 5 wires to escape from the suspension housing. Reassemble the front suspension with the servo components inside. Connect the front suspension with the chassis. Prep the ESC board to be soldered. Solder the servo potentiometer wires. Now solder the servo motor wires to the ESC. Looking good. Now finish attaching the front and rear suspension to the chassis. Now to install the Kyosho Mini Z extra speed motor. Here I'm taking the red cups from the Mini Z Monster shocks and marrying them with the GPM Racing alloy shocks. So there's not much to do now other than put on the shocks, add the wheels, get the body back on. And while I'm doing that, it's worth mentioning that this is a success. This was an experiment, and with it, I'm now going to continue doing an FHSS conversion for the Kyosho Mini Z Overland. If you've got an idea for a conversion or a mod that you'd like to see me try, leave it down in the comments. Maybe I'll do it. The moment we've been waiting for.